All right, Dan, schools are an important part of the growth and image of a city. What would you recommend to assist the school district in their goal for high achievement for all students? Do you have a plan in mind for improving communication? Are there things that we could do with parks, recreation centers, after school? Is there anything that we can do to work more cooperatively with our school system?
I think there are a lot of things that we can do to work more cooperatively with the school system. For instance, sit down with them. I mean, you know, the city council can sit down and hold joint meetings with the school board, and I think they should do that. And not just the Fort Worth Independent School District, but have regular liaison and meetings with all of the school districts that touch upon the city of Fort Worth. But in terms of what the city can do most effectively and most vitally in order to affect the educational quality of our children is the city, while it can't deal with general school funding issues, it can and should make sure that it institutes and refunds the childhood development programs, the kindergarten readiness programs and the after-school care programs that are so vital to our children. We have got to make sure that we support our kids from the very earliest time that they are amenable to that. We got to get them in the high chair. These are not simply stop. So I'm stopping.
Okay, Betsy.
Well, Fort Worth must open, the city must open dialogue with the schools. I've worked for years in the schools, served 17 years on management team at 4 or 5 different schools, been PTA presidents. It's crucial that we build an open dialogue and help the schools move forward. We need to allow our employees to be mentors. We need to set up programs. We need to develop liaisons with the different schools. Adopt-a schools are a great program. We also can reach out to the foundations and the businesses. I visited with a business today who said, our employees are willing to co-op with the city. Years ago, probably 17 years ago, Dr. Roberts, who was here, had a program called C Cubed, and C Cubed was fairly successful. Some of you probably remember that. It was citizens, communities, and corporations involved with the schools. We had a focus to grow them. We must grow our schools, keep moving forward with them in order to recruit strong businesses and good families here. We need strong schools, and the city must be a partner in that.
Well, this is a very personal issue for me because as a recent graduate, I still keep in contact with many of my old teachers, and many of my friends from high school went off to college and got their degrees, wanting to come back to the community to be teachers at their old high schools. So I hear about this problem quite a bit, whether I'm talking on Facebook or on the phone with people. People are worried about education in Fort Worth. We are removed on the city council from doing much in direct relations with the school board, but I think what we can do is first and foremost make certain that the business partnerships are in place that have been very successful in the past to bring in the revenue needed to fund programs. We need to make certain that everyone out there is involved in their school board elections, a dialogue with their school board, keep an active interest in what's going on in your students and your children's lives, making certain that they get tutorial and mentor programs in case that there aren't parents at home. But the key thing that the city council and the mayor specifically should do is make certain that as long as there is a problem in the education system, that they are addressing it each and every day, that they are talking about it, so that people do not become complacent and forget that there is a problem, because education is the paramount thing that's going to grow Fort Worth for the future.
I'm going to try to make sure I get both of these points in. When I was blessed to be the council member from District 2, we brought in a lot of these large companies, and I was able to be there at that table when those negotiations were done. And so often the people would say it's easy to do business with Fort Worth, and I would ask them, now where are you going to live? And I thought they'd say originally, they would say Keller, Alito, and I would ask why, and they say crime, schools, over and over again. I guess I really have a great interest in this school issue because I'm the only one with a 4-year-old and I want him to go to public school in Fort Worth, and I want him to get a good education in Fort Worth. Now, what can we do about it? I don't want to embarrass somebody, but there's a lady in this room right here that took this bull by the horns when that issue came up, and we began to work with the school. And I talk about Fort Worth Independent School District because that's the major one and the one we're really concerned with the most because it deals with the inner city kids. We started meeting with them quarterly. We created programs where we had funding and we had people, and the school had facilities, and that's how you do it. You got to sit down and talk to it. But if you want to know really how you do this, there's a lady up there, and she has gray hair, and she can take white hair, and she can tell you exactly how that was done. And I tip my hat to you, lady.
Well, there's no question that in order to have economic development in a community, you must have an educated workforce. So education is absolutely key for a mayor and city council. So what can we do about it? Well, the mayor actually has an opportunity for a bully pulpit, and she can talk about it a lot and stress the importance about it and get people involved, the businesses and the foundations. She can also solicit volunteers. We need people mentoring and tutoring in our schools and being actively involved. We can also work cooperatively with the school districts and have the meetings that we used to have. Remember, there is the Fort Worth Independent School District, but there are 13 other school districts within the boundary of the city of Fort Worth. There's a couple of other things. We can prioritize infrastructure, streets, sidewalks, parks, and even safety around schools to indicate how important this is to the future of our city. And lastly, we can invest in our own learning centers, our libraries.